Right, the next job is clean up. So this is what I use. I use the Gunk Ultra and spray it on. And I spray it on with one of these pressurized sprayers that can take all the different chemicals. They're relatively cheap and they work extremely well. 20 pumps, and I keep Gunk in one and I keep WD-40 in the other one. So using a Gunk, spray it on, and this is what we ended up with. This is what I'm doing at the moment. So the motor, I've now cleaned up the motor. I think you see it's pretty clean actually. It's looking pretty good. And turn it around. There we go. And it's relatively clean. And I think, yeah, I'm quite happy with that to go onto the machine. I do need, however, to check that the keyway is not been moved. In other words, we haven't hit anything. And of course, I will then also check that the drive shaft is straight. Now, the other thing I've done, I've cleaned up the covers using Gunk and an airline, and you can see they've come out quite nice. Here's the new belt cover. I found when I had one in stock, rather than messing around with one that was, I'll show it to you. Just bring it around. Here's the original, a bit of a mess, but more importantly, it was broken. And you can see the tabs, and I think you'll see other videos showing these tabs that get snapped off. Anything's damaged. However, I had one in stock, so brilliant. Solves the problem. The other thing I do have here is, I'll just bring it up to show it to you. Here's the baffle, and that goes into the back of the machine. Well, all I've done with that, I've cleaned up what you can see. There's no point in washing up stuff that nobody can see, and that's in good condition as well. So we are making progress. So whilst we're waiting for things to dry and clean, I thought I'd have a go at the carburetor. Let's see if I can move you around. Bear with me a second. So here's the carb. Now I've stripped it down and I've cleaned it on the outside, and as you can see, it's looking pretty good actually. One thing I do when I get old gaskets, and sometimes they can be a bit of a dough to clean off properly, I use one of these. Actually, I think it's a paint scraper that's made to clear off paint around windows. You may or may not see them, and I just use it to scrape off any residual gasket. There's some there, and then using one of these grey, I'm not sure what they're called actually, they're grey abrasive cloths. I can then get in there and just clean up everything. And you could say this is a bit OTT, but I think it's worth doing. Once it's all out here, there we go. That's all nice and clean, and that will make it produce a nice seal. So the carb's done, on the outside's done. Now I do use carb spray, I'll be honest with you. However, my take on it is to use carb spray only there's no rubber seals available on the carb, and of course I wash it off straight away with WD-40. And it's a case of just into all the holes, as you know, and we've all done carb cleaning before. If in doubt, shove it in, as they say. There we go, and it all cleans up quite nicely. And the thing I've got to do on this one, to be honest, is just to take out the screw here. As I already moved the idle stop, and I will then just remove this. There we go. Jack for the slow running jet. Just take him out. There he goes. Get rid of him, and I will then force some jet carb cleaner down there, and I'll see where that comes out. And there it is there. Not sure where that comes out actually. Let's have a look. Possibly there. There it goes. Yeah. So I've cleaned up the carb, it's nice and clean. Now to get rid of all the residue of the carb spray, I just go with a WD-40 just to make sure, just in case I've missed something and I've not ruined any seals, any rubber. There's no rubber seals on here, to be fair, but I just feel it just, you know. Okay, so it's belt and braces. I've got rid of, I've cleaned the carbs, used carb spray, cleaned the carb, and then just to get rid of the carb spray itself, use WD-40, clean it all up. I got all the screws here. We're all ready to go, basically. I didn't notice that the float needed a bit mucky, so let's get that cleaned up. There we go. Nice and clean. Everything looks nice and clean now. And then over the WD-40. Now I'm then going to give it a good old wash off with pressure. So bear with me. Make sure I've got some air in the what's it on earth stick called? Whatever. It's not important. Okay, air compressor. So now I'm going to just give it a quick blow off, just to get rid of all the residual. I'm not going to do this off camera. And there we go, one clean carburetor. Well, certainly it's cleaner than what it was before. So I put it onto a clean piece of paper, and we're now ready to reassemble. Now, most people have seen this done before hundreds of times, I know that, but it's part and parcel of the rebuild. Inside of the bowl is absolutely perfectly clean. Well, quite impressed with that. As a nut. The emulsion tube I've now cleaned, blown it through, and completely clear, as is the main jet and the pivot. Now this main jet, to be fair, was just about mullered. You may or may not be able to see, but the screw thread there, and I seriously thought about cutting a new cross thread there to see if I can get it for a screwdriver that would take. However, I've now found a small electrical screwdriver that will fit in there, and I hope, or well, I know it will then screw in without damaging. So in goes the emulsion tube. We all know which way that goes. The long end in first. Is relatively straightforward to see which way they go actually. That drops in, followed by the main jet, and I need to be very careful here, and I'm hoping you can see this, and I don't want to cross thread this because it was a devil to get out, I'll be honest with you. There it is, it's going in nicely now, because I had a job to get the screwdriver to go in there and fit in there properly, and there's no need to over tighten these, and no doubt you've all again heard all that before. So I'm just going to snug it up with the screwdriver, and that's as tight as I'm going to go with it. It's got the nice clean gasket, and there's no drain hole on this carburetor. So then all we need to put in now is the float, which again has been cleaned, together with the needle. Now where have I put the needle to? There it is. So the needle will go in onto the float itself, and it just slots in there quite comfortably. Thank you very much. And I hope again you can see all this, and it just drops in and drops out again. So there we go, that's live, isn't it? But I have cleaned this, to be fair. Let's get it back in there again. These can be a bit of a pickle actually to get in, to be fair to them. It makes life always a bit of interesting, if nothing else. So it goes in there like so. Now you can probably just about see it. I've got the needle in there with the float, and then we just get the where are we? There we go. Get that to line up properly. It says heat. Let's go the other way around just in case. Okay. There it goes. Slides in there quite nicely. Now just double check the valve was working, just to blow in and blow out with the so that's with the floats down, should accept fuel, and then push up again and blocks off nicely, so that's nice and clean. So we put the bowl back on with the bowl nut, and careful, doctor, cross thread these damn things, because otherwise you've completely ruined your carburetor. So that goes on there nicely. 10mm spanner, and I, like a lot of people, I mark my 10mm spanner because it's probably the most useful spanner there is in the toolbox with these small engines, and it just snugs up. It hasn't got to be a murder type. And there we go, one carburetor clean, ready to go back onto the machine. So what's next? Well, what's next is, quite honestly, let's bring it over to you, is the air filter box, which will now need to be cleaned together with its associated gaskets. So that's the next job. Here we go.